And yeah, I mean, people are getting to the point where just simple entertainment and not being preached to is just, it's like, whew, okay, thank you. I just didn't want to be preached to today. I just wanted simple entertainment.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
who hasn't seen it, this is your warning. We will be spoiling this movie. Welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis,
I'm Michael.
and we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. So the topics on this show range from theology, masculinity, movies, philosophy, books, pop culture, and many other subjects. We often talk about the people we admire and the wisdom that they share. People such as Jordan B. Peterson, who we believe is the sage of our time. Michael, why are we here?
Yeah, today we're talking about the Mario Brothers movie, and we both really loved it. I saw it a week ago, and you just barely saw it.
Yeah, I saw
So
it 4 hours ago. So
there you go.
anyway, I loved it. This movie is everything that I wanted it to be. It's got some great action in for a kids movie. It's got some phenomenal action. But
Just fun. We were kind of talking about it before recording,
yeah,
but just like I felt like walking out with my kids after seeing that. I was like, how fun was that, guys? Like that was just total fun
yeah,
and no regrets. So it was just a good time with the kids.
it certainly was. We wanted to talk a little bit about our history with it. I as far as the game is concerned, I remember playing it in it would have been probably the early 90s, late 80s with friends. Like we didn't own a Nintendo, but we had friends that owned a Nintendo, and I think I vaguely remember playing it at a friend's house, and
Mm-hmm.
that's about it. I saw the movie, the 1993 movie with Bob Hoskins, and it was shit. To put it lightly. I mean, it was just a terrible movie. I don't remember ever revisiting it, and I don't even think you've seen it. Have you seen it?
Nope. Nope. I haven't seen it. I do remember being excited for it. Like for whatever reason, being excited for it coming out. And then you and Curtis saw it and told me that it was horrible. And then I never saw it. So that's kind of how
That's
kind
kind
of
of
how it
how
all
it
played
went.
out. But yeah, when we were growing up on a polygamous compound, on the ranch, we weren't allowed to have video games. So our exposure to Mario was very, very
We had the
limited.
Atari. We've talked about the Atari
Yeah,
before.
we have. Yeah, that was
So
that was the extent of it.
yeah, the
and
the 20-year-old Atari in the 1990s that we had. It was
and
probably
eventually got some PC games that we played a little bit. But yeah, so but the but like you were saying, I had gone to a friend's house and we played it a little bit here and there. I don't think the only time I played when the Mario games came out in Nintendo 64 was the only times I played that were basically in the store. Remember in Walmart, they used to have
oh yeah, they used to have that. Yeah.
games you could like, and mom would go do her thing, go shopping and stuff like that. And I would sit there and just try to play this game while mom
That
was doing her shop. And then when she was done,
that
she'd come
would
grab me and
uh,
then
Mario had like, or I should say, Nintendo had like this resurgence in, I would say, the early 2000s with the Mario Kart because it became huge.
on Nintendo 64 and Mario Kart. Yep. I do actually. Yeah. Now that you mentioned, so I did have some times where I would go to a friend's house and played with a few other friends, played Mario Kart. We kind of rotated out, right?
Oh,
There was
yeah,
too many of us to play all at the
all
same
together
time, but like we
because
would
it
just
only
kind of
had
rotate
four.
out
It would only split the screen up four times,
four
right?
times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they only had 2 paddles. So
Oh, okay. I got you. Two
it
controllers.
basically was just to, yeah. So
Jeez.
I think I want to say,
We
but
were so like deprived of that
different.
kind of stuff. It's
Yeah. And
crazy.
it was fun is like when you have when you know, don't have that hand eye coordination,
Yeah, you're terrible
you
at it.
kind of, you get there and everybody's really good at it. And you're just trying and you're like, trying to do your best, but you don't do very well. So,
I had
but yeah,
buddies.
in the movie, they have all these kind of tip of the hats back to uh the video games, and they did it not. I mean, I guess it wasn't really like overbearing. They just kind of threw it out there
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
and tried to like integrate it into the story, which I mean, sure, the this in the story they have to go get the the donkey or the monkey army,
Yeah, the monkey
and the
army, yeah.
monkey army and then get carts, and the whole point of that whole thing was just so that they could have uh uh a tip of the hat to
Mario Kart,
Mario Kart.
which
That was
I
it.
which I thought was the best part of the movie. Like that
It
the
was
the
fun.
entire chase on like a rainbow bridge, the rainbow bridge, I thought
Hmm.
was absolutely awesome. Like it was
Yeah, it was fun.
like everything that you would want in a it kind of reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road. It like
Mm,
everybody's got their own kind of uniqueness to their cart and everything. It was
yeah.
just it was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Going back to the hand-eye coordination, like my issue was I had friends who had played every Halo game and they wanted me to play Halo with them, and I was terrible at it because I
Yeah.
didn't have that high hand-eye coordination. And
Yeah.
so I
And that
kind of
might just be a thing about Browns, or it was just that we didn't have a lot of practice.
well, yeah,
So,
because we were too busy working to ever play games. I mean, that's pretty much what I've always kind of attributed to it. Because
yeah.
I think if I ever got a like a PlayStation or something like that, like I'd actually and devoted a lot of time to it. If I broke my leg at
You
work
get
or
better.
something like that,
Yeah.
I'd get better
You
at it. So
you get better. What did you think about, I want to say that it's right now, Mario Brothers movie is sitting at 56 critics on Rotten Tomatoes,
really, I haven't
56
even looked at the
from
Rotten Tomatoes.
critics, and then but it's 96 from the audience.
Well, because there's no complexity to the story, right? I
And that
wouldn't
was their
say.
big, but it's just a disconnect of the critics and the
Oh yeah, there's a huge disconnect between them because
a lot of people are pointing that
everything that a
out in this
yeah,
video, in this movie.
in the oh yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Well,
A
here's
lot of
the
people are
thing.
pointing it out. They're pointing their fingers and saying, how is it these critics are so disconnected, but the audience is loving it, and the critics are like, you could maybe attribute for a little bit of a gap, maybe a 70% and a 90%, whatever. But when
But
you've got
it's almost always been like that though.
56% and 96% of the audience saying they loved it.
It's almost always been like that because I remember movies that I thought were excellent movies being critics loving and then the audience not loving or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue really is the polarization in our society right now.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah. And
because
it
there's a
seemed like
huge
most of the
gap.
reasons the critics hated it were because of, things like,
Story
it's a
complexion.
story. Its story isn't complex. The story's about a male, and we can't have that.
Yeah.
Uh, they didn't have the correct box checked. A lot of hate because Chris Pratt, not that he is conservative, but he has, openly talked about his, Christian faith, and things like that. And so a lot of Hollywood is kind of
Turning
wanted
against him.
to blacklist him. And so so I think there was a
The thing
lot of that
is that
going on.
audiences love him. Did you
Mhm.
ever watch Parks and Rec?
No, but I've seen some
Way good.
clips of it and how he's like so funny.
He's hilarious in it, and Ron Swanson is like my favorite character, and
Mhm.
they are awesome. It is a great show, but it's also a show that's over 10 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So everything that's in that show is,
It's kind of his debut, right?
yeah, well, he's been around for a while. He was like on one of those CW shows anyway.
Oh,
But the thing is that there's no complexity to the story. It's just pure entertainment. It's all it is. So there's no complexity to Mario. He's not got like a dark past. He's not. What is it that critics love? Critics love complex characters, right? And he's not a complex character. He's There's nothing complex about him. If you're going to go to this audience, if you're going to go to this movie thinking that you're going to get anything other than just a popcorn fun entertainment that your kids are going to enjoy and that you're going to enjoy with your kids, because there's a couple of jokes in it that are funny and I laughed, but there's nothing really phenomenal about, other than I would say the action sequences are really well put together.
yeah.
And I'm all about action. I love action movies.
And a lot of the action sequences were very well put together for tip of the hats to the
The
games.
game. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Like I loved, so at the beginning, before, and for those who don't know, the premise is that Mario and Luigi are in the real world, and they're plumbers, and they're trying to struggle with their business to get their plumbing business going. And there's a point where they're trying to get from one end of town to the other end of town, and they're going through some construction,
Yeah.
and they're like jumping on these
Jump it.
things, and
Yeah.
they pan out, so it
It
looked
looks
like
like
they
the
were,
game.
it
Yeah.
looked like the game. I was just like, that's so cool that they would just throw that in there for like 2 seconds
Yeah.
and have that be in there.
Yeah.
And so but they're on their way. They get sucked into a pipe that takes them to um the world that they go to,
Mushroom land or whatever it is.
mushroom kingdom, the mushroom kingdom.
Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah.
And forgot where I was going with
So,
that.
well,
But
but fans of this are going to love, fans of the game, I think, are going to love this, which is why it's probably at 96% for the audience score. And then
well, my kids don't know the first thing about Mario.
neither
Really,
do
I'll be
neither do
honest.
mine. Neither do mine.
And
They know that it's a
they
game.
loved it.
That's about it. And my kids loved it too. See, this is this is where we're at in our culture, is the things that are held up as high art tend to be shit, and the things that are held up as that are low art tend to be pleasing. That's where we are. 10 years ago, they would have been inverted. So I would say like the height of like maybe Christopher Nolan, like back probably like Inception time. There were good movies coming out around. I remember that year. I can't remember specific movies, but I remember that year there were like 4 really good movies that came out, and they were all original material.
Well, and I was thinking about this, like, not every movie needs to be this like deep, this really deep story with like really intricate, back stories, like
Yeah.
like Inception, like Tenet.
Yeah.
Right? These movies take some maturity and some deep thought to kind of like get through, and they're
But not
deep,
every
heavy
movie needs
movies.
that. Yeah.
not every movie needs that. Yeah. So these guys that are just like, oh, the plot was really simple. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, sure. It was really simple. But I mean,
But so
what do we want?
what do you
You
think
know?
the difference is? Because I kind of hate all the Transformers movies except for maybe the first one. What do you think the
Mhm.
difference is between those who their plots are not deep either and this? Why did we enjoy this so much more than we enjoyed that? The
Um, my big thing with some of the Transformers was just I
they're
I
kind
don't
of
know, they
dumb.
just
I don't know what
dumb
it is.
things, really, really dumb things, right? So I think there's a when you're when you've got an action movie, you can be it can it's easier to make a kids movie with some action in it than to make an action movie with some kid stuff in it.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
therefore,
That's a good
like,
point.
therefore, so like
Yeah.
when in whichever one Mark Wahlberg was in,
That's like
I
the
was
fourth
watching
or
that.
fifth one. I don't
I
even know.
can't even remember, and it it was so dumb. I couldn't stand it. Anyway, they it's like an action movie, and they're like trying to have all this really cool action and stuff.
Hmm.
And then he like picks up a sword that's not really a sword. It's a sword gun. It's a sword and a gun, and it's a sword gun. And Mark Wahlberg is running around with this sword gun, and I was just like, wow, like that's the game that I played when I was 5.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's good job, guys. So I
So maybe because it's animated, maybe and not live action, we give it a little bit more leniency.
right. They were right to do this in animation, not
Animation rather than live
live
action.
action. I mean, and
Because they
if
already
you
tried it with live action and it was
yeah, if I
terrible.
was to go back and watch the 90s one, then you could probably see how it just all falls apart when they're using real life people. Um and which
Hmm.
makes me wonder because a lot of the internet is talking about how because this did so well, it we're looking at it probably breaking $1 billion
At some point.
worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So it's done really well. And what this is going to do is this is going to tell Hollywood that, ooh, we've got something that works. Now we need to go milk it for all it's worth. I'm okay with that because I thought it was fun and I would like more of that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, Legend of Zelda, a lot of people are talking
Oh,
Legend of
that
Zelda
that
will
would
be
be
next.
awesome. I always thought that would be an awesome movie.
I wonder though, would it work as an animation or would it work as a
They should do it animation.
live? I think it should be animation too. I
So
think
if they
they
did
should
it
stick with the animation in these. Yeah.
if they did it with like Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, that kind of
Mm,
style animation, that would be amazing.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not artisty enough to know what would be the right answer there.
Yeah.
But yeah, mark my words. Now the one thing noticed that with Mario Brothers is that you know Princess Peach in the original game it was Princess Peach damsel in distress. Mario was going to save her. That was the story.
Yeah. But
And
you
this
can't do that
you can't
anymore.
have that anymore. Like that just can't happen. That was okay. I'm okay with them going away from that. But that also is the story of Legend of Zelda. So
Yeah, it is.
I'm not sure what they're going to do there. Might be a little harder to tweak that, but
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't
and
know
that's
how
I mean
that's gonna work.
that's simplifying it. There's a lot more intricacy to the Legend of Zelda. Obviously, I know very little because I didn't play them.
I didn't play him either.
Only for the little bit that I watched, my buddy play them.
Yeah.
So
So,
uh yeah, but
but
it
I wasn't upset by Princess Peach being in all the action. I thought it was fine.
no, I thought it was fine. And
I could see a
the
lot of people having issues with it. A lot of manosphere stuff could probably have an issue with it.
Oh, I could see the manosphere. Now, one thing that I thought was very interesting that was pointed out. I can't remember if Critical Drinker. It might have been Baggage Claim that said something to the effect. I can't remember, but something to the effect of that. They mention so Princess Peach is there. Mario comes and Mario wants to help her so that he can go help save his brother
Save his brother.
because his
Yeah.
brother is out there and he needs saving. Anyway, which I guess it works because there was a game where Mario needed to go save Luigi, so it works that they changed it from
Princess
Mario
Peach.
saving Princess Peach to
Yeah.
Mario and Princess Peach going to save Luigi. Anyway, there's a point where she's like, "Well, you got to. How good are you? I don't know. Let's see how good you are." And then they have this montage of him going through
Yeah.
an obstacle course.
Yeah.
To I need
Which
a
I thought
hero
was
from
clever. I thought
which
it was all
I thought
clever.
it was fun. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So
A
what
lot of
did
people
they?
hated. A lot of people hated on the '80s music that was in it. I thought it was fine.
I
I
thought
was
it was
just like,
fine.
don't care.
The,
Awesome. I'm
every time
game.
they did the what do they call them? They call them needle drops. That's what they call them. So so
Well, anyway, let me finish my thought
yeah.
there.
Go ahead.
Because when it comes out that she could do that obstacle course and she's really good at it, and he tries and tries and tries and tries and tries and he's not good at it, but he almost gets it. And his willingness to just never give up,
Yeah.
it because he almost gets it right.
Yeah.
Well, and it turns out, and she says as much in their conversation that she was always good at it, right? Like from the begin, from her very
Yeah.
first time, she aced it when her very first time.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is I think this is it's okay. Like I don't mind this because I felt like it showed character in Mario that he wasn't good, but he just wouldn't give up and kept going.
Yeah, I
Right?
like that. I like that whole character. That's like Captain America. That's like
Yeah,
there's there's a ton of other characters that do this.
totally. Well, but to the girls that are identifying with Princess Peach, it doesn't do them any favors that she's just perfect out of the box.
Yeah,
Like, let's be honest here. Like
it doesn't
the
it doesn't
it
teach little
doesn't
girls to aspire to be better because they're already good.
well, but it also just shows that it's almost demotivating to a girl. It's like, oh well, she was perfect from the very beginning. How can I be like that? Whereas the boys can sit there and be like, he got knocked down and just kept getting up. That's what I'm gonna do,
Yeah,
right?
just keep
Like
going.
it's it, and so I want to say it was Baggage Claim that pointed this out, that this perfect girl that doesn't have to struggle and work through things and like make it like get better and get knocked down and get better and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
knocked down
yeah.
and get better.
Hmm.
This isn't helping females out there. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't help
Well, and it
the
doesn't
female community.
you're right. It doesn't help society to tell young women that they're already awesome even though nobody is. Everybody's got to
Yeah.
work to be better.
It's like Jordan
So,
Peterson saying, uh, people out there saying you're perfect just the way you are. Well, people know they're not perfect. And if you tell them they're perfect just the way they are and that there's no hope for something more, then that's kind of nihilistic, actually. It's kind of like, well, I don't like the way I am. So
yeah.
I want
W-
to,
Well, and
improve.
it defeats the purpose of being trying to do better, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it is kind of sad. I don't mind it in this movie because it wasn't so overt that it offended me, right?
Yeah. And I didn't have a problem with it.
I didn't have a problem with it, but I could see how other people would have a problem with it because they're going to look at it and go, this doesn't teach little girls anything. Like the you know,
Yeah.
which is an issue. It is, other than she's awesome all the time, and she's awesome. I was like looking at her going, that she's such an awesome character. I love that she does everything awesome. But
Yeah, and she was
there's
like, she was just awesome. She was great.
there's not a
I thought
moment.
they were all great. So,
Well, but there's not a moment that she has a struggle though, right?
when Bowser just about when he just about
Yeah, but she
takes
had a
her out.
plan. Yeah, but she had a plan that stopped the
There was a
marriage.
moment at the
So
end.
spoilers. We should probably do spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
I just had a thought. So
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
who hasn't seen it, this is your warning. We will be spoiling this movie. So
About
maybe I should put that at the front.
Jack, I did not even. I went to this movie with my I guess I just didn't even know. I was just like, I heard that it was pretty good, and so I went and saw it. But like, I didn't even know that Jack Black was playing
That
Bowser's
plays
voice.
Cloud Bowser's
And
voice.
so
Yeah.
the song Peaches, I'm like
Peaches,
dying laughing.
it's so
I
great.
thought it was so hilarious. Just dying laughing. My kids are all dying laughing. We were all just like laughing our heads off
And the
because it
thing
was so funny.
is when they came out of it, the movie, they're singing that song.
No, we
They're like
listened to it
singing
on
the
the way
Peaches
home.
song.
We like pulled it up on YouTube and we're just like, hey, let's listen to that song again. And like beaches,
Uh,
beaches, 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 beaches. And then
that's great.
my kids will come up to me like, hey dad, should we listen to that Bowser song? Like not they don't even know his name, but can we
Peaches
listen to
song.
that Peaches song? You know, sure, yeah, let's listen to the Peaches song again. And it's just so funny, like the way Jack Black, the animation
The way it all,
on him, like it all came together.
he's like channeling. You know who he reminded me of is he reminded me of Meatloaf. Did you
Okay.
ever see videos of Meatloaf? Because he was
uh
so over the top, and it was just
Yeah.
he was always, and it was singing, and he was always really into it. But he was big. He was a big
Mm.
guy, so it just
Yeah.
kind of didn't always work. It didn't. It was like this the contrast between uh grace and it just not being graceful at all, because he
Yeah.
was just this.
Right.
So that's what
That's
Bowser
funny.
reminded me of, and I wonder if Jack Black was doing that on purpose, like channeling like Meatloaf, because God rest his soul,
Yeah. Who knows?
he was a great that he had some great music from the 80s.
And it didn't
So
take long for the woke crowd to get after the fact that that song was misogynistic. I'm like, he's the bad guy. Come on,
really, there's
guys.
already that online.
He's the yeah,
I've
yeah.
avoided stuff online because I didn't want to have any spoilers.
Oh, okay.
So I
And you
wanted to
just
go,
saw it.
and I
So
just saw
well,
it. So I haven't
because
been
I
watching
saw it, I saw it, and then probably because I listened to the Peaches song over and over again so much,
so
YouTube
much.
was just like, hey,
YouTube
this is
said, this is
here's this.
more.
Well, and but yeah, apparently there's a lot of people out there that are just like it's after the Me Too movement. We
Oh
can't
my
have this
god.
kind of stuff, and it's stereotypical of a stalker and stuff. And it but the thing is just
It's meant to be
it's
funny.
so funny because he's just like, and at the end where she's like, did you really think I was gonna marry you? And he's just like, yeah, actually I did. It's like he had no clue.
but
He didn't have any clue
but
that
what's
like
great about it is that my kids came out loving that song. That's the thing that they
that's the thing they
repeated.
got. That's
That's
the
the
thing
thing
they
they,
took.
yeah.
And that's what the woke crowd is worried about. That that song is all that the children will know. And
God.
it's misogynistic and it's teaching them. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
just,
but he also is the bad guy.
yeah.
And that
And it's meant for laughs.
yeah.
So everybody needs to get off their stupid high horse and just laugh at it, because
Yeah.
that's what it's meant for.
Yeah.
But it's a great, you know, I would have to say that he kind of stole the show.
Yeah.
Him
Yeah.
w-
I laughed.
w-
I was laughing like almost every time. I
Every
saw
time he
Bowser.
he
It's
Bowser,
just it was just funny.
he's
He's
just
he's like acting. He's like trying to act out how he's gonna like ask
ask her. Yeah,
Peach
yeah,
to
yeah,
marry him, and he's just like all dressed up and stuff, and he's like, it's funny. I laughed a lot. So
yeah, yeah,
um they kind of build this up where Mario just wants to make his dad proud,
yeah, yeah,
and his dad is kind of just like, why'd you leave that good job so that you could do your dream
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And he's like, thanks dad for not supporting me, thanks. but
yeah.
uh but then it shows that Donkey Kong uh,
Has the same issue with his
has the
dad.
same issue with his dad.
They
He's
both
just
got
like,
dad
my
issues.
dad just thinks I'm I'm an idiot, right?
Yeah, because
And I
he's
just want
always
to make
doing
him
his pec
proud.
flexing.
Well, they have this moment where it was, I think they were kind of they were building it up to have this scene where both of them would be like, oh, you you just want to make your dad proud. Oh, you just want to make your dad proud. Oh, we're both the same. We just want to make our dad proud. Well, and then Donkey Kong is just like, well, in your case, your dad's right. Just like,
Well, and he also
that's
said
just
it was
awesome.
also is also funny is like when he saves his life and he goes, "I don't worry, I won't tell anybody." He's like, "Please don't."
Yes,
I about
please
died at
don't.
that. I about died at that part because you're supposed to go,
Uh,
"Oh well, it's fine," that kind of thing. But he's
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah,
like,
please
yeah,
don't,
please don't. I don't
don't tell
worry.
anybody."
You saved my life.
Oh,
Uh,
what a great movie.
so yeah, good
So
time. So
so it doesn't need to have complexity because okay, so last year I would say that one of my favorite movies that came out last year was Top Gun Maverick, and it didn't have any complex structure to it. There wasn't like the anti-hero or anything like that, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just and it didn't. So I like complex movies that really make me think, but I think what's happening is that the identity politics has ruined a lot of things for people, and they're just kind of sick of it, and they want simplistic stories again.
that it could be, yeah. I think you're right. I think that they've taken nuance, right? So sometimes there's nuanced characters,
Mhm.
and they've just ran with that, and now we've and it's all kind of gotten messed up
Muddled.
inside of wokeism and everything.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, people are getting to the point where just simple entertainment and not being preached to is just, it's like, whew, okay, thank you. I just didn't want to be preached to today. I just wanted simple entertainment.
Yeah, yeah. And
And yeah,
like I said, I mean, I used to really hate that kind of entertainment, because like I really don't like very much of any of the Transformers movies. I think stopped watching them after the second one, I think. I thought it
mm-hmm,
was so dumb. I thought the second one was just idiotic.
yeah,
But then again, if I was to compare the complexities of this movie or Top Gun Maverick to those Transformers movies over 10 years ago or 15
yeah.
years ago, however long ago it was, I would find it would be the same thing. So, I mean, is my I'm wondering if my being adverse to all the identity politics that's playing itself out into our society right now, that maybe I'm reverting back to a non-complex storylines.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about like some of the movies that we grew up with, um, growing up in the 80s, 90s, that some of our most favorite movies, I mean, a lot of them are pretty simple stories, you know, push come to
Yeah.
shove. Uh,
Yeah, I
you
guess so.
know,
Yeah.
and so maybe, and so, and it's, you know, sometimes if it's a race to have the most complex story, I don't know. It's really interesting because like I loved Tenet, and man, that movie had your brain going the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you, it was
Really
tick
did.
tick tick. Tick, you just, and you had to like try to get everything in so you knew where the story was going. Otherwise, it'd lose you,
Mhm.
right? You
Mhm.
know, you know, and some of them, some of them have very complex things around it. So if you think about it, there was very complex things around um Inception, but really, like if you take the bare bones of the story, it's a heist story.
Well, yeah.
Like,
What Nolan does is he takes these simple ideas and then like circularly around
yeah,
them makes complexity, and then
yeah,
more complexity and more. So it's kind of
right.
become. He's kind of become. I think a lot of people didn't like Tenet because at that point he's had several years of making films, and people were just like, well, he's kind of parroting himself at this point because of the
Oh,
complexity of that movie. Because it
mm,
is a complex movie because you have to kind of, you're like right on the edge of understanding, and you're like
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
am I understanding this?
Am I understanding this right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
and um
And but my point is that I feel like there's a place for that, but then there's
yeah,
also just a place for going and seeing just just dumb
just
entertainment.
dumb entertainment.
Just
Yeah.
kind of
Shutting your brain off and being entertained.
yeah, and it's, and also there's like there's a place for, you know, a movie with an anti-hero, right?
Hmm.
There's a place for the gray situations, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
movies for, there's places for that. You know, I didn't want to see that in a kids show, right? I didn't want to
Yeah.
see that in a kids movie. So um so I was okay with strapping in and just being entertained. Same
Entertained.
with
Yeah.
Maverick, right? Well, and the thing was is, and I wanted to say this, like kudos to those people that all involved make a movie and have it all pan out as kind of well put together as the Mario Brothers movie. Because I
Yeah.
really do feel like as a whole, it just kind of all fell together and worked. Kind of like
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, it all kind of just fell together and worked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when movie makers do that, I want to just like just applaud them, because it just seems like so much nowadays, somewhere along the lines somebody just f's it all up, and or just for whatever reason the pieces didn't come together very well, and it kind of just gets all
Yeah.
shambled up.
Well, and like the Star Wars universe right now is a mess.
Case in point.
It's just a mess. It
Yeah,
like, and we don't need to get into that because I mean we're gonna
we
record
we've
one that,
done we've
yeah.
talked about it, yeah, so
So but it really is like I'm like really having a hard time thinking of something that was entertaining to me and also complex other than Tenet, which is a 3-year-old movie at this point. It came out in the middle of COVID. So we're looking at a 3-year-old movie, and I can't think of anything recently that's been super complex and also been entertaining enough that I didn't hate it.
mm,
So, I mean, like everything that was complex at one point, like Westworld. I started watching Westworld when it first came out, and then there was stuff that was happening towards the end of the last couple of seasons that was just not any good. And I don't know where they lose the line and it's not complex anymore. It's not pleasant to watch anymore. I don't know. I can't think of
Mhm.
anything that I've seen lately that I've liked that was complex. It's all been more simple on the simple side,
Hmm.
like Top Gun Maverick and Mario Brothers. I don't know.
Do
I'm
do
having
you think there's a like you can do a movie where or even a series where the story might be simple, but then like characters are complex or vice versa,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, they do that all the time, but I'm just having a hard time. Like, well, I guess Better Call Saul was pretty good. If I had to really think about it, I would probably prefer Breaking Bad over it. But Breaking Bad at this point is like ended 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
It's been a while.
Better Call Saul ended this last year. Yeah, last year. It ended last year. And it I didn't hate it. It was okay. It was pretty good. But that's all anti-hero stuff, right? It's and feel like Breaking Bad was a little bit more entertaining than Better Call
Mhm.
Saul. I don't know.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
me, and maybe there's a lot of people who disagree with me, but you know, there's I'm having a hard time thinking of a really complex storyline that I really liked lately.
Yeah. Do you do you think that this means the future of game adaptations
I
is coming?
Well, yeah, I think Sonic, they did well with the two Sonic films. Nintendo's kind of, I think what they want is a interconnecting universe of Nintendo movies because
Yeah, I
that's the
don't know
kick
how
that
they would
every
do like Zelda with Mario Brothers,
I
but
don't know.
I mean it'd be it would be strange, I feel like, to try to do something like that. But that doesn't mean that others because they had a bunch of Easter eggs of other
Yeah, they
Nintendo
had Donkey
games.
Kong in this.
Yeah,
So,
Donkey Kong. They one of the videos like pointed out that there was like Duck Hunt, there was like little symbols of
other
other
Nintendo
games.
games.
So it's
Oh, that's
possible that they might do that. I
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they would do a Zelda or a Legends of Zelda connection in there at all, but I think with this making lots of money, we are probably looking at, and they've always done, they've done a lot of game adaptations, but people are talking now that this might be the beginning of kind of like how the MCU became this big thing where we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had movies after movies after
After
movies
movies. That's I
of
think that's what Nintendo wants to do.
yeah.
But Illumination is part of this, and
Mhm.
I think Sony was part of. Oh wait, maybe Sonic the Hedgehog isn't part of the Nintendo verse, or is it?
No, so that's Sega.
Sega. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Um,
So,
so,
but I
but my guess is they saw Sonic and it did fairly well, and they're just like, all right, well, now's the time. Let's just do it.
well,
And
and
I didn't know if you knew this. Did you know this? That there was apparently, allegedly, I don't know if there's some actual hard truth to this, but apparently, um, uh, the whatever company started making this wanted to make it more about Princess Peach, and they were going to make her
the main
the main
character.
antagonist or sorry protagonist, and Nintendo shut it down and said no, it's the Mario Brothers, it's not
The
Princess
Princess Peach
Peach.
movie. They'll do that.
Yeah.
If they if they keep having successes with it, they'll eventually have a Princess Peach movie of her own or
Oh, I'm
something like
sure.
that. But
I'm sure they're
I think
yeah.
they could do like a Donkey Kong movie now. They could do, like you were saying, they have a ton of places to go, and Illumination has had success after success after success. I think what we're seeing is Illumination is probably going to, they're the company that made it, and they did all the Minion movies and all the, you know, I think it's just Minion movies,
Yeah.
a couple other things, and
Yeah, Minion, I think they did some of the Dr. Seuss movies
yeah,
that
yeah,
that have come out.
yeah. And what I think,
The Lorax, I think they did the Lorax. I
and
think
the
they did
Grinch, they had a Grinch
the
movie
Grinch.
too.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think what if they're really smart and they keep this trajectory, they're going to beat Disney at its own game, because Disney's
Yeah.
been on top of the animation for so long
Yeah.
that I bet you if because if you think about the latest Disney releases, they've all been flops,
Yeah.
right? I think Strange
Lightyear,
World,
Strange World.
Lightyear,
Hmm.
they've been flops, and because
Neither of those I've seen.
yeah, I haven't seen them
I haven't
either.
seen
I
either
didn't
of them.
bother to see them.
Of course, I'm voting with my dollar. So
Yeah, as everybody should. But this movie is blowing up, and I think that if it continues, that they'll, like you said, they'll make a Zelda movie, they'll make a I think they could do a Donkey Kong movie. I mean, Seth Rogen plays the voice of Donkey Kong in this, and they could
and it was funny.
easily do a Donkey Kong movie, and he could have all these issues with his dad and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you want,
Yeah.
whatever you want, but they're
Well,
not.
and it's plugged already. I mean, did you stay for the after credits
Oh, there was an after credit
scene?
scene. Yeah, I didn't stay for it.
There's
What happens?
after so they had two. They had
The one of him
um
playing the
one
Bowser
where he's
playing the piano.
playing and then
Yeah,
he gets knocked
I saw that one.
quiet down and then it shows him little tiny and he's like
Yeah, yeah.
ah! uh uh but then there was another one that just showed an egg and it started to crack and it's uh Yoshi. It's basically just setting up to show that because Yoshi was his little um his little kind of turtleback looking
Sidekick.
horse thing that he would ride.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, now I
Um,
remember.
and
Yeah,
so it's obviously setting up for okay, well, there's going to be a sequel, and it's gonna this one will
yeah.
be about Yoshi.
This is such a huge success at this point that there's no way there's not going to be a sequel. In fact, my
Well,
kids
and
asked me right when we came out, like,
like
Dad,
when is
when is the sequel coming out? And I was like, it takes like 3 years to make these things. It's going to be a while.
but
So
you're yeah, you're not wrong. These things are now beating Disney at their own game, and uh yeah, and Disney for so long has been on top that they
well, and
it's go
Puss
woke, go
in
broke. Maybe we'll
yeah,
see.
Puss in
Hopefully,
Boots.
That's what I'm hoping.
Puss in Boots was a success too, and that's a DreamWorks. And
Yeah.
DreamWorks hasn't had a good success in a long time. Like they haven't been doing well. I mean, in fact, I don't even think the same people who own that studio even own it anymore.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, but Puss in Boots, the last Puss in Boots, the Last Wish or whatever it's called, that one was a big success.
Isn't it
And
crazy that DreamWorks made Gladiator?
yeah, they made Gladiator too. That was one of
Isn't
their
that
first
weird? Because
successes.
I can't think of any other a live action movie that they've done.
Oh, they did it. They did a bunch back in
Really?
those days. Yeah, yeah. But it's almost a
Huh.
defunct company now. I think How to Train Your Dragon helped them out a lot. The Shrek movies
Oh,
helped them out a lot.
I was,
But
but I was saying live action. Can you think of
Yeah, but
anything else?
they had a couple of comedies, if I
Oh,
remember
okay.
correctly.
They did some comedies, so
They did some, I want to say, a couple of Adam Sandler comedies. I don't,
maybe.
I can't be
Anyway,
certain.
um, but yeah. So I think that this could mean a little bit of a shift away from the MCU and going into game adaptations, which historically, and I don't know why, but historically, a
They've
lot
been
of game
terrible.
adaptations have been really terrible.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna.
Well, if I had to, like, for game adaptations, if I had to say which ones are the best, it's probably the Mario Brothers movie, and the last two Sonic movies, because I was entertained by them.
Yeah, yeah, I liked those too.
But I never have high expectations for game movies. Did you ever watch? Oh man, this is so terrible. Did you ever watch the Halo series on Paramount Plus?
No, I haven't seen it.
3 episodes in, and I was done. It was
No, really, it
crap.
was horrible.
It was terrible.
See, yeah, I don't know what
Master
the deal
Chief kept
is.
taking off his helmet all the time. It was just,
Really,
it was bad. It was just dumb. I mean,
huh? Weird.
yeah, I don't know. I just
It's
stopped watching. I was not like, the first episode seemed to have some good qualities to it. Maybe, but I almost don't remember it at this point because it was bad.
one thing that helped. I think actually helped this movie Mario Brothers is that the games weren't really ever really deep in story.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was kind
Well,
of
it's meant
they
to
were
be.
okay just making a kids movie that just was kind of surface level and everything like that.
Yeah.
Some of these video games are like deep and intricate and like deep anyway,
Lore.
and so it's almost like there's no way you would make everybody happy because you would have to adapt a little bit to bring it to the screen, but then you would alienate somebody because you left out
Something.
one
Yeah.
character or you did
Well,
something
and
that
games tend to be more, I guess I should say, more uh like, people are closer to them because they with a movie, you watch a movie for an hour and a half. With a game
yeah,
or a
you
book,
play it for
you play for
yeah
hours.
30 hours,
Yeah,
something
for
something
most
30
games.
hours or
Yeah.
40,
And
50 hours, something
like
like
you
that.
said, game adaptations are bad. Like the Uncharted, that was
Yeah,
terrible.
it
That was
yeah
a
that didn't
terrible
work out.
movie.
There's
For
yeah
every, like, so there's Uncharted, that was terrible. Hitman wasn't very
yeah,
good. And
that
I
didn't
liked Timothy
do
Oliphant a
very
lot.
well.
Like, he's my man crush.
The
And
Mad Max um didn't do well.
oh, you're saying
Like
Max Payne.
they even had
That's Max Payne,
Max Payne. That's it.
not Mad
Sorry, Max
Max. But
Payne.
yeah, that
Max
didn't do
Payne with
well.
they had Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Like they kind of had everything that they needed, but it uh, in sometimes I really feel like now for kids movies, Nintendo they might be really onto something that could really do well
Yeah.
as as far as like but everybody's going to try to get in on this, right? The Last of Us is doing pretty well apparently.
The
um
oh, the TV show.
yeah,
The TV show is supposed to be really good, but I don't know if I want to delve into it. There's too much there's too much identity politics that I just don't want
yeah.
to deal with.
um but so we may be seeing everybody trying to jump on this bandwagon, but if they can't do better than they've done in the past with adaptations, it's going to be it's going to really
Yeah.
suck. And I had a
Well,
lot of so I had friends that were Assassin's Creed's fans,
Oh yeah.
and they came out with that at Assassin's Creed, and like I didn't even go see it because I heard it was horrible, and so just it's like, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Like video game adaptations have a hard time being good.
mm-hmm,
Because I guess, like, if you think of it, like, the concept that makes a good game is that you get to integrate yourself into it.
yeah,
It becomes personal at some point.
mm-hmm.
Whereas when you're watching something on a screen, you are removed from it. It's hard to say because Uncharted was bad. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to a good, maybe just keeping it animated, maybe because that distances you from it and it's not as, because if you think about it,
You might be onto something there because Arcane was
oh yeah, that was a
was
game
good,
too.
and that was loosely based on League of Legends, which I've never played, but uh
Is it League of Legends? Isn't Shadows in there somewhere? Or is that the surname of the game, of the movie, of the show on Netflix? Arcane's, or is it Arcane League of Legends? Is that
nah,
what it's called?
I'm not sure on that, but they uh
That is an adaptation that I also enjoyed. So
yeah, yeah, I really liked it, but like I said, I wasn't a fan of the games or anything like that.
yeah, I wasn't a fan of the
Some
games either. So
somebody that was a fan of the games might have their qualms with it or whatnot. Um, but it was animated, so you might be onto something there. That something um about it being animated
animated, maybe it
might
distances the people from it enough
from
that,
the well, it might be a distance of since a game is animated, right? That
yeah.
there's um something about making
Yeah,
an
it's called,
anim.
yeah, it's called Arcane League of Legends. So
Okay,
League of Legends is probably the name of the game, and then they
yeah,
just adapted it for the Netflix show.
yeah,
And again, you're probably, yeah, like maybe the maybe it has to be animated for people to really be into it.
might be kind of
Well,
the
because,
secret sauce, but
well, yeah, but like also the Sonic the Hedgehog is partially animated.
yeah, that's yeah, because it's interesting.
It's using animated characters in the real
Yeah,
world. And
well,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
real
I don't
real
know if that,
characters.
maybe that doesn't, maybe that, maybe that's what they're missing. Because every time they've tried it before, like I said, Uncharted was terrible, Hitman was terrible.
I mean,
They,
you've mentioned before on this show that on our show that Resident Evil sucked, but I
well,
mean,
it sucked in a different way. Because I liked the first one, and but I never thought of it as, again, it wasn't it wasn't it wasn't a great movie. It was just entertaining, I would say.
mhm,
Like kind of
yeah,
like this, like Super Mario Bros. Is not a great movie, but it's entertaining. So
yeah,
yeah, maybe the first, and they kind of degraded in quality as they went along.
hmm.
Um so maybe the first Resident Evil was actually one of the better
And it
adaptations.
seemed like it did fairly well, and then they had to make 10 of them. What? No, how many did they make?
It was
They
like
made
six. It was a
six.
lot. It was a lot.
Lot. It's a lot.
I stopped
Um,
keeping track after three,
yeah,
but I never had high expectations for them.
yeah,
They had a good looking girl who was kicking ass, and I never had any expectations for him. So
yeah.
maybe it's all about your expectations. If your expectations are high, and you go see the movie, and you're like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe.
I've always kind of had that theory. Like if your expectations are really high for the movie, and you go to it and it's a mediocre movie, then you're gonna hate it.
Hmm.
If it meets your expectations, you're gonna love it. but if your expectations are low and it's higher than your expectations when you see it, then it makes it for a good movie. That might be why we love this so much, is because I didn't have high expectations for it.
Didn't really go in with any expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably why I liked the two Sonic movies. That's probably why I liked the Resident Evil movie. Maybe my expectations were too high for the other ones. Like
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted, I thought the trailer looked good. I thought, the Hitman trailer looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed trailer looked good. I mean,
Yeah.
so maybe it's all based on your expectations.
Maybe
I don't know.
gets your hopes up. Some of us get our hopes up and then go see it, and it's like horrible. But that's to be expected of fans who played the game and are fans,
Mm-hmm.
and then they adapt it. Like that's to be expected. They're
Have you
expected
have you talked to any fans who were gamers for Super Mario Brothers
that
about
like
about
we're
this movie?
yeah, no,
I don't
not
know.
really. I
I don't
mean,
have
I've on the internet, I've listened to a few uh people who did
who
like it, who
who were
played
gamers.
all the
Oh, okay.
games, yeah, and who loved all the games.
In
And they
call
and they said that the movie was riddled with little Easter
Easter
eggs,
eggs,
comments, everything from like little tiny comments to little things that nobody but the gamers who
hardcore
loved playing
gamers.
the games
Yeah.
would catch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
um and apparently one gal was hating on the movie, and she's like, why in the world did he have uh this cat, um
Yeah,
you know
that's part of the
suit
yeah.
come on, and then he's got this cat suit, and it's like, what the crap, why would they do that? And one of the guys that did a video was just like showing all the little clips of
Of
throughout where he gets a
level
up,
up, level up,
yeah, level ups, where he gets some, and then he can, you know
do
uh
special things like the
do
cat has
do things.
claws and then
So
the raccoon flies.
so some of these critics were just like, why in the world would they do this? And people who played the games were like, this is
This is
perfectly
awesome.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It
and
didn't
I
I
knew if
knew
there was certain things that I didn't quite like. There was a few times where I was just like, yeah, that's probably
a
a,
game
a
thing.
yeah, a game part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, and I didn't care. I was just like, cool, whatever, you know.
Well, and it's perpetuated pop culture to the point. So if you were born in the last, 15, 16 years, you're not going to really care much about Mario Brothers. But
Probably not.
if you were born in the 80s or 90s, Mario Brothers was a huge success,
Yeah,
like massive. It
yeah,
was
it
to the point where
was everywhere.
Well, it was to the point where I didn't play the game, but I knew enough about it. Like I forget what it was. It was like a Happy Meal toy that I got once when I was
Right.
little that had him with the raccoon tail.
Yeah,
So I knew that might be integrated into the movie. Like I didn't know what it did, but I knew
yeah,
it would be integrated into the movie somehow. And so it didn't surprise me. But the last 15 years, I don't think it's been a big deal. But in college, I remember guys staying up all night playing Mario Kart. It was either Halo or Mario Kart, and that's what they were playing. And
yep,
and they would stay up all night doing it because I would go to bed. They'd be playing in the next room, and I'd go to bed, and then I'd get up for classes the next day, and I'd like peek into their room because they would leave the door
yeah,
ajar and stuff like that, and you'd see
and
them
they'd
still
still be
playing.
playing.
I'm like, did you guys go to bed? And they're like, no. We've been up all night. I was like, okay, I'm going to class. So, I mean, there was stuff like that happening all the time, and it was
Yeah.
Mario Kart was a big deal in the early 2000s. Like that
Mhm.
and energized. And every once in a while, Nintendo would do this. They'll like disappear for a while from the pop culture, and then all of a sudden do something revolutionary that'll make everybody like the Wii. The Wii about 5 or 6 years ago was a big, huge success.
Yeah.
The Nintendo Wii. So
It did make me want to go get the games and play
yeah.
them with my kids, which
Oh
is
yeah,
another
I bet you the kids would love it.
and I bet you the sales are gonna go through the roof.
For Nintendo.
Oh
Probably.
yeah. Oh yeah. I think
Probably.
so. I think it's gonna
If
help
they
their
if they
sales a
were
ton.
if they had been smart about it, they would have released another console at the same time
Like
the movie
right
came in.
like right or something. Yeah,
Because
probably.
I don't think they expected this kind of success. It's about to hit $1 billion worldwide. It's going to be a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's our take on it. And yeah, I don't know anything else you want to say. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, even at the end of, I guess a final thought would be like the end, how they wrapped it up, right? With the fact, well, the fact that they couldn't have, Mario like very directly saving Princess Peach.
Yeah.
They still did it in like they still did the ending in a tasteful enough way, and also not making it just Mario that beats Bowser, but Luigi as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do it together,
Yeah.
right? I thought it rounded off the end very tastefully. And
Mhm.
so even though, Manosphere is going to be upset because it's like, no, oh, they can't have a damsel in distress. Okay, yeah, no, they can't have a damsel in distress.
Yeah,
Sure.
those are the new movie rules, right?
Yeah.
You can't hit.
New movie rules.
Yeah.
I like that. That's that's right.
New movie rules, man. That's what we're gonna see for here until something changes. And it's
Until
not
the
bad.
Y
I mean,
chromosome is gone.
yeah, until they get to the Y chromosome. Yeah. Anyway,
That's
that's for another
a
time.
plug for another video of
Yeah, yeah,
ours.
another video of ours. Um, okay. Social media.
We're at Brothers V Random on Twitter. We're at the Brothers Random on Instagram, YouTube. We're um
Rumble.
on Facebook, Rumble. Yeah.
We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Most all the podcasts that you get, just look for the Sword in the Skull. Um, thank you, dear listeners, for listening. Keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, Michael.
See you, brother.